need 2 minutes? Let's wait for John.
Yes. So I heard that you're sparing on Saturday. I'm like, I don't know if that's good or bad. It's neither. It's like, damn it.
You guys are going to do that.
We have 4 spares that we got from the draw. Okay.
All right, testing my mic.
Yep.
Excellent.
Test 1, 2. There we go. Test 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, folks, here we are. We're getting ready for the big game here. Michael Zuliliani, Claire Zuliliani versus Lauren Wasylkiw and Shane Connings. I'm sure you guys have played before many times. With me is John Robertson. Going to do some color analysis. John, what do you think about this game?
Oh, thanks for having me here. So this is my first time commentating on a game. I've been a long-time club curler here. So we have been very lucky, myself, I'm in this mixed doubles league as well, to get the bye to the championship. So we will be playing whoever wins this game. And to be quite honest with you, this is probably closer to the club championships than the game that we're actually going to play in the club championships, because both these teams are seated higher than we are. But still, this is going to be a terrific game against some terrific curlers. So for those who are unfamiliar with mixed doubles here at our club, or mixed doubles in general, the rules are a little bit different than they are with regular curling. So you can see down at the other end, Mike and Shane are pre-positioning some stones. So mixed doubles, every end starts with 2 stones in play, 1 from each team. The team with hammer starts with a rock in the house. For most of the ends, that's going to be just in the back 4. And the team without hammer starts with a guard. For most of the ends, that's a center guard. Once per game, each team can elect to have what's called a power play. That's where they get to move everything off to the side. So the hammer team is going to start with a rock off at the edge of the split between the 12-foot and the 8-foot. And the non-hammer team is going to have a corner guard, and that gives an advantage to the hammer team, because if you were imagining playing in a regular 4-person game, you would love to start with a corner guard and the play drawn off to the side if you're the team with hammer. Okay, so they're getting right into it. With mixed doubles, there are 5 rocks delivered per end for each team. So one player will throw the 1st and the 5th rocks. So I believe for both these teams, they have elected to have their women players throw that. So Lauren is delivering the 1st rock for Shane and Lauren, and then Claire is going to deliver the 1st rock for Mike and Claire. Then the other player will deliver the rocks in the middle. Finally, there's another twist to the rules for mixed doubles, which is the free guard zone. So rather than just being a guard in the guard zone that cannot be removed from play, it is any rock in play cannot be removed from play until after the 5th rock total, which means that includes the 2 pre-position zones. So it's the 3rd rock thrown that can start hitting things out of play, or the hammer team's 2nd player's 1st rock, which is kind of similar to how it is in 4-person play, where it's the hammer team's 2nd player, their 1st rock is what can start peeling guards out. And so we've started with a freeze attempt by Lauren that ran a little bit hot, and so it tapped that starting stone off of the back 4, and now both rocks are sitting further back. Claire's come in with a draw attempt. I don't believe this was intended to be a guard. I believe she came a little short of the house unintentionally.
How does the ice do you normally, John, first end?
Oh, so at our club, first end ice is usually quite slow, and then it'll pick up, which can throw a lot of teams for a loop, because it seems like you have to throw harder than you should need to get the rock down there and into play, and then all of a sudden the ice will start speeding up, and you'll throw a couple rocks through before you readjust. Then the ice should be pretty consistent through the rest of the game. In terms of sweeping the rocks, in mixed doubles, any player can sweep. So you could have Shane sweeping his own rocks, Lauren sweeping her own rocks. You could have a player holding the broom for target. But with only 2 players, you have to make that choice. So you'll see both Mike and Claire coming down. Nobody's staying in the house to serve as skip to hold the broom and target. Instead, what will happen is one player will throw. In this case, it's Mike's turn, so he's going to be throwing. And Claire will be right there to help sweep for him.
And can they change that, John, can they change that end to end?
Yes, so they can change it shot to shot in terms of who's sweeping, who's holding the broom. The only rule is you're not allowed to attempt to hold the broom and then also sweep by standing in between the 2 hog lines. You have to stand either at the far hog line holding the broom. Once the shot's delivered, you can run up and try to sweep for however much you're able to catch up to the rock and sweep for. But you have to start basically on one side or the other. So either with the delivering team at the delivering end, or as a skip at the other end on the other side of the far hog line.
So sorry, I meant,
Yep.
Can you change end to end by who shoots first and who shoots first?
Yes, you can change at any point end to end, so not like through the end, but at any point you can swap up which player is throwing the first 3, or sorry, the first and the last, and which player is throwing the middle 3 rocks.
So it looks like Michael just shot rocks, just tapped the red one back.
Yeah, sitting
It looks
1 for
like
blue.
Shane looks like they're going to tap it out, or just tap it back as well. Yes,
Yeah, so this is, Shane is allowed to hit at this point. He might try to do that and just try to keep this end a little simple to start things off with, but he could also just try a little freeze. They are trying to steal here, if I remember right, who started with hammer, and so a freeze could help set them up for a better steal. So based on this slide, it looks like he's going for that freeze attempt. All right, so now he could jump up and help sweep his own rock, but for the most part, you'll see that on both these teams, the deliverer, the person who's just thrown the stone, is going to stand behind and call the line for the other person sweeping.
So the outside looks like?
Little outside, little hot, yeah.
Yeah. You won't be happy with that.
Yeah.
So now I guess...
Unless he was intending to be kind of backline weight and was trying to do just a softer weight takeout and just didn't make enough contact, was just a little wide. So in terms of the backgrounds of both these teams, they are both fierce competitors in mixed doubles. Shane and Lauren are actually a team that plays together. You'll notice that they have a number of sponsors across their jackets. So they do play at the provincial and national level in mixed doubles, quite a number of events through the year, and they actually have enough CMDR, Canadian Mixed Doubles, I can't remember what the R stands for, ranking points. Yeah. That they were able to make it to the national playdowns in Summerside, Prince Edward Island, that happened just a couple of weeks ago.
And I noticed that they are, before the Summerside, or before the last spiel they were in, this last weekend, they were 20th in the world in the rankings.
Yeah, so they are a very good team. That's not to take any shade away from Mike and Claire, who are also an excellent team. Mike also plays at the provincial level. He has made the provincial playdowns quite a number of years, but in that case, his competitive team is usually himself and another female player. He does not tend to play with Claire, who's his wife, except at the club level here.
Sounds a little heavy, I think.
Just a hair heavy, but still in a pretty good spot. They just have that one red to get rid of, and they might be sitting 2, maybe 3 with the shot rock.
Yeah.
But this gives Shane another attempt to try to make a freeze, because that is just on the tee line, so they could freeze to it and cut the scoring area down, or even tap it back a bit and sit 1. Try to keep the score low for the beginning. Mixed doubles, the scores can run away really quickly on you, but also you tend to get a lot of rocks in play, a lot of messy ends like this, and so sometimes we'll get a lot of rocks in play just to have one team score 1 at the end of the end.
Nice shot by Shane.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, there he's sitting 1. He's got a bunch of backing. It's hard to tell from the overhead, but he looks to be just about half behind the guards there.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately our players are not mic'd up, so it's difficult to tell exactly what Mike and Claire are discussing. It looks like they're playing around with that red rock, trying to decide whether to try to take it out of play now, try to draw in at the moment and deal with it later.
So they're going to draw in, looks like.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go for the draw in.
Draw in.
Mike's still eyeing it though. There should be enough curl here that he can come around those relatively high guards and get to that inside part of that red rock, so that if he is a little heavy, he could knock it out and at least out of the 4 foot and potentially sit 2.
Yeah, unfortunately I just ran out of time to set up microphones outside in the rink. There you go.
Oh no, he's coming around the other side. Claire with the hard scrub. It's curling early.
Yeah.
Just got to keep it off
Little
those
down.
guards.
A little down, wait.
No, a little too light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although that's not.
It's not bad.
That's not bad. Yeah, because they
Probably
can still.
tapped his red one, I'm guessing.
They can still see a thin half, maybe a third of that red rock, so they could probably chip it out of there and sit 2, maybe even double the 2 reds off the back and get 3.
Yeah, I think Shane's going to just tap his red one back, probably.
I think
Hard shot.
that would be my preferred play. Is you can play that relatively soft. With that soft weight, you can come right around to the nose of that red rock.
Yeah.
You might even be able to tap it straight back onto the blue, tap the blue back, and you might set 3 red and put a lot of
That's
pressure
right.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Lauren will do that. It's
Yeah.
last
shot.
rock, so that is her shot. So from way back here, it looks like he's got tons of space around, but he's already on it, so might be for weight rather than line.
Does move a bit, right?
It does. Yeah, oh, she's coming nice now.
Nice, yeah, coming nicely. Good judge. Perfect, nice shot.
Nice little tap, the backing's there. That's going to be very tough for
Yeah, tough
the
to get that.
Zuliliani to deal with.
Yeah. What if you could do a board weight hit, maybe? But
Could attempt that.
maybe it won't curl that much, I don't know.
Yeah. Could try with a hack weight coming around the clockwise turn direction, so coming from our left as we're looking at it from
In-turn
the
for the
hack
right-handers.
Yeah, in-turn and out-turn is always tough for the lefties to remember which way around it goes, so I don't
John
tend
is
to use that
lefty, by the way, folks.
terminology, so I try to use clockwise and counterclockwise.
No one understands what that is. No one has a clock anymore.
That's true too.
Okay, Claire. So he's throwing the roots. It looks like they're going to do a fairly hard Yeah. Forward plus, control.
Yeah, they're just throwing it away.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways to potentially give up more than one at this point, so pretty smart call. Watching how that line works for that hit weight, because it might be relevant when they get to their power play and they're trying to throw that in that direction.
Okay, we're going to take a little break here and come right back to you, folks.
Okay, we are back in the second end here, so that was just a steal of one. And Shane and Lauren started off again. Hopefully now they've got draw weight figured out and they're just going to freeze this right to that back blue. Oh, again, a little bit heavy out of Lauren's hand. So unfortunately our players are not transparent, so it's hard to see through them to see what happened with that blue stone. It just got ticked slightly, so it's still at the back forward, only moved a couple of inches. Enough. There we go. And now Claire is throwing up on that side, trying to block off the draw path there, because now it's definitely on, from our point of view, the right side of the guard. And so they want to block off that draw path to make the freeze, but unfortunately she's also thrown a little bit heavy. Perhaps the ice is already starting to speed up after the first end slowness and catching the players by surprise.
It happens a fair bit here in this club, I think, sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Speeds up pretty quickly, especially with the brushing and the up and down the ice.
Yeah, and especially in mixed doubles where we tend to play the same two paths down the ice every end until the power play comes into play, and then it surprises people because then that path down the middle has not been played. All right. Again, it's really tough to judge the weight looking from behind the glass here, but this looks just a hair heavy again to me. Lauren's trying to curl this over so that she makes some contact with that back blue.
It's pretty good though.
Actually, yeah, it's coming down nicely. I think it's going to be a really great draw for the red team there.
Yeah, Shane.
Yes. Yeah, a little bit of space, but not a whole lot.
Yeah. Try to draw right to it.
That's the typical call in mixed doubles is someone makes that draw, but the button's still open. You just follow it down, make another one, and hopefully set up some good angles so that you can make a soft weight hit or nice little tap to spread things out and hopefully sit your 2 or 3 closer to the end of the end. But it really does encourage a style of play that involves a lot of draw exactly over the pins, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be one right at the moment, but there's still a lot of rocks to come and could change things up.
How many rocks do they throw again, John?
5 rocks per team, 1 and then 3 and then 1 for the 2 different players.
And for those of you on the sheet next to it is the constellation finals for the mixed doubles. Constellation semis or finals?
This should be the final, yes. Right. And so within our mixed doubles league, we have quite a number of teams. I can't remember offhand if it's 26 teams, something like that. And so the way that we've set it up is that the top 16 teams at the end of the year, based on cumulative win-loss stats through the entire year,
We're back, I think.
All right, once again, sorry folks for the interruptions with our Wi-Fi. We have quite the intense setup here for the streaming. We've got a dual monitor computer, a whole soundboard that Nilesh has brought out, multiple cameras set up. It's very, very impressive, and then unfortunately sometimes just let down by our Wi-Fi connection here at the club to try to make the streaming happen. Anyway, Shane and Lauren have just peeled the guard. That's going to make it a little easier to try to hit anything out that the Zulianis make. So while I am being silent and having some dead air, Nilesh is trying to troubleshoot our connectivity issues and adjust our camera positioning a tiny bit. Yes, all right, so here we go. Mike slash shot. Claire will still have one for the blue team. Just trying to move that redstone just back enough to hopefully still act as backing and prevent a double takeout for blue while still sitting 1 or 2, and indeed they look to be sitting there too. So a well-made shot. The double might be there to get out and get clear of that red. Although, you know, it's looking like most likely they're going to catch that red on the way by. I'm not sure Shane and Lauren are too worried about that as long as they can as long as it doesn't dead jam. So as long as that...
Are they third shot? Yeah, red's
Yeah, they're third shot.
Fourth shot. Third and fourth.
Third and fourth, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Lose that red. As long as they lose the 2
Yeah,
blues,
so if they
they're
get rid of all 3 of those in the 4-foot, red's still going to be sitting 1. And they will want to try to keep their shooter though, because otherwise the 2 remaining red rocks, if they get rid of all 3 in the 4-foot and also lose their shooter, then Claire can just make a double on those red rocks and sit 4, and that would be, you know, not a great outcome for red in this case. So they're going to try to make something fairly close to a nose double, keep that shooter. Here it comes. Yep, looking really good. Shane's just going to try to hold it. Really nice shot, yeah.
Great shot.
Kept the shooter out counting the back 2 blues and actually kept that red at the back 4. So red is sitting 2 at the moment.
3, right?
No, I'm pretty sure the back blue is out counting the side red.
Oh, I see. Right, of course. You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry. John, that's why you're such a good player. I'm just a hack player.
Anyway, so this is a good force. There's really no shot to try to get much more than 2. Like there's a tricky double there where they could hit the red on the 4-foot on the inside edge, roll across to get the other red at the back 8, and then maybe make that blue in the back 8 count. But there's a lot of ways for that to go wrong, to just have the shooter spill out entirely and give up a steal. Much better here, I think, just to draw for 1. You can use that red as backing if you need be.
I mean, there's no triples, so, you know.
Yeah, there's no triple to get multiples
2.
here.
That's
yeah.
right.
So like at most they can get 2 with that potential double, and that would be a tough 2. Much better to take just the easy one here. And even if they throw a little heavy and get onto the back 2, the red blue at the back 8, that still cuts red down to a steal of 1 and keeps them alive. So this does look a little heavy, but Mike's...
first I would have come with the out turn. Right? As they know this ice.
Yeah, as long as they make a little contact, the blue should remain shot. Yep, there it is. Great shot, 1 blue.
All tied up, going to third end.
There we go. So I don't think either team is going to try to take their power play early in this. I suspect we'll start to see the power play come out around end 5, 6, 7, something like that. They usually want to make sure that they use it before the game ends, so they will probably not save it till the 8th end. But generally, from the behavior I've seen of both these teams through the year, they're going to keep their power play for another end. Yep, and there they go with the conventional setup in the center.
Usually they tend to wait for the power play till the 5th or 6th end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Figure out the ice a little bit better, try to see where the game is going.
I played with Stubble a couple times, and we were like, hey, what do we do with the power play? So now we'll find out.
Yeah. lots of options for the power play. It does, again, give a bit of an advantage to the team with hammer to make sure that they can score their one or to try to score multiples. A little more difficult to steal with the power play, not that it hasn't happened to me many, many times. And just to keep you updated on sheet 2, there are quite a number of rocks in play. We've got 2 in the top 12 for red. We've got 2 guards up front, 1 of each color. Red is sitting back button still with that pre-positioned blue stone just tapped a hair back on the forefoot, and then 2 that came in heavy, 1 of each color in the back 12. So at the moment, still just sitting 1 red, and I don't see much of a way for that to change with the 3 rocks that are left to come on sheet 2. All right, so Claire didn't quite make that perfect freeze that we see as sort of the most common opening mixed doubles move, but sitting there in the top 8 is a really powerful position because stone can be tapped up or run back later if need be, and chokes off the draw path from that side. So that's a very good plan B, or the pro miss if you want to call it that. All right, so this stone might go out of play. Oh, not quite. If it did, that would be fine. You are allowed to have the shooters, the ones that you're throwing, go out of play. It's only the pre-positioned stones that have to stay in play. Now, if they had hit that back rock a little thicker and it had gone out of play, all the stones would have been reset. And that's not a choice of the team that was offended against or what have you. It always goes back. There's no choice in the matter.
Now, you notice that Mike or Shane swept that, tried to get by the red one, so just tap his own.
Yeah,
so
yeah. They didn't necessarily want to move that off of the position it was in. And the tiny, tiny rub barely moved it off the center line, but if it hit a little more solid, if he wasn't sweeping, then they might have had both of them go into the back 8. Very nice shot.
Nice weight. Yep, nice shot.
Very nice weight control. It just snuck by the top guard. It just snuck by the one on the top 8 there, and then made almost nose contact with the one on the back 4 to sit 1 pretty well protected.
So I guess they're going to try the same thing, draw right in front of it.
Yeah, so Shane is allowed to hit at this point. So if he wanted to, he could start opening things up. They do have the hammer here. Sometimes we'll see, particularly Shane and Lauren like to do that, but no, this is going to be the draw. He's playing to it. Weight looks really good for that draw to the button with the small tap, except it doesn't look like it quite came over far enough to keep the shooter buried behind all the cover.
Looks like they're shot, though.
It does look like they're shot. Yeah. Again, it's really tough to tell with the cameras when they're close like that. We could be wrong, it could be blue, but it does look to us like red is shot on the side of the forefoot there, but it is wide open.
Wide open, wide open. Yeah, it's a little hit and roll maybe or something.
I suspect
tap back.
they tapped the ice on the button as they were coming down, so I suspect they're going to ignore it for now and just try to draw a second one in and sit 2 that way.
Right.
That will also cut off the draw path, because if they just hit there, Shane and Lauren could just come in and try to draw in and freeze to that one in the back 4. It is curly enough that they could potentially get the freeze, and if not, they could sit on the button with lots of cover.
And these guys, Michael has played Shane, I think, many times in the first 2 playdowns. They know each other quite well.
Yeah, so this looks just a hair heavy, but they should rub off the red. Yeah, sit there too. So the button's still available. At this point, Shane and Lauren might be thinking, well, at least get the 1, maybe draw in. Or maybe it's time to open it up while they still have enough rocks to get some granite moving. Now, this was me throwing it. I would think that maybe I'm too late to open it up, because you'd have to make a couple of doubles in a row to make everything go. Shane and Lauren have that in their back pocket. They could make a double followed by another double to have some confidence that they can make those red rocks in the
Looks like
back
we're gonna
12
hit
start
the
to count again.
So we're gonna try to hit the blue here. It looks like top 8.
That's the way he's setting up.
I'm just going. Yeah, just wait. Oh, I was looking at the way Lauren was set up. Looks like it didn't turn out.
Yeah, it's looking like the
Yeah.
peel.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Oh, just missed going by, getting the double. But still opens things up with that one in the top 12, top 8, the blue rock. That's protecting the one side of that stagger, but enough of it is open that they can make the double by hitting pretty much the nose of the one that's back 4 there, keep the shooter for the red, etc. And so, yeah, Mike is, I think, explaining that and what he's worried about here. And then they're going to have to make a decision. Do they want to put a guard up? Do they want to just freeze in there and try to hope that 1 or 2 stick around after the double is made? Or after the hit attempt is made, I should say, because it won't necessarily be a double. And I suspect they're going to go for the freezes plan A, with the pro miss being coming up light for the guard. Oh, and I was too late to look over on sheet 2 and see what ended up happening in the second end. Looks like red got another point, so red was set up to steal 1, and it didn't look like there was much of a way to get that out of there. So I suspect, we'll see if they put the score up. I suspect that was a steal of 1.
So what do they decide here? Do you know the guarding or freezing in there?
I'm pretty sure they decided on the plan A. Again, the players aren't mic'd up. We can't hear them. But based on how he was tapping the ice while they were down there discussing things, I think they were going for the freeze as the plan A and talking about that it was better to be light than heavy. And it looks like he is light.
Yeah. Just an over curl.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah,
it's
so
over curling too. So it looks like, with kind of backline to hack weight, they might be able to move those 2 blue stones. But again, based on the way that Shane tapped the ice as he's walking by, I think he's just going for the draw. There's enough room to squeeze 2 red rocks in there, so they can still get their 2 with the draw here.
Okay, so I'm being told there's some issues with our stream. I apologize for the Wi-Fi issues, but we'll just keep going, and when it comes, we'll post the recording.
Yeah, hopefully the recording comes through, and at the very least people can watch the replay after the fact and tell us what they think about the blabbering commentary. It feels very strange to me to be trying to keep up the commentary and talking, we're in the third end, I'm already at the point of meta commentary, but there we have it.
This looks like a good weight here.
Oh, this looks like an excellent draw.
Shot.
Yeah. Really nice freeze, and they could come down, tap that once more if they had to, or if they have the opportunity to potentially get their 2, but Mike and Claire are going to try to take that away by guarding that draw path or making that freeze themselves.
Last shot, no? I guess not. No. One more shot each, right?
I believe this should be last rock for blue with 1 more to come for red. Yeah, last rock for blue. So you couldn't see it from our camera angle because Claire was unfortunately standing in the way, but Mike tapped the near house just in the middle of the 8, and that's something that a lot of mixed doubles players will do because you don't have a skip down there. You've got to pick a target, eyeball it, and deliver to that target all by yourself. And so sometimes what we'll do is after we get down to the hack, we're talking about what ice we want, and then we'll say, oh, aim for the intersection of the 12-foot and the 8-foot, for example, or as Mike did, tap on a part of the 8-foot and say, down at the other house down there, aim at this part of the 8-foot. And so that's what they were doing, trying to aim for mid-8 is what he was suggesting to Claire for that draw. And he makes a really nice shot, or sorry, she makes a really nice shot. Just taps things very slightly, but sitting there frozen in the corner of the red. Red's hitting 1. It's going to be extremely difficult for Lauren and Shane to sit 2 here. Yeah, and the score went up on sheet 2. We do indeed have a steal of 1 for red, so red is currently up 4-0 going into the third end.
So they're going to do an out turn or. Yeah, probably out turn. Will it come that far? Won't curl that much, I don't think.
It might. You just have to catch the side of the button. It's really tough though because that rock in the top 8, top 12.
Now, do you think that
It's not on the center line.
Angle tap of the blues there?
I don't love any of that. There's so many ways that could go wrong, and you can end up squirting the red out of there. I think the only way to get 2 here is to make the attempt at the draw and hope it curls enough around that blue at the top 12, top 8 to then get in and grab a piece of the button. That's not what they're trying, so even though that's what I saw, they see something different.
And they're trying the angle tap.
All right, so trading singles so far. These teams are keeping it close. They're going to make us feel the anxiety all the way through the game, right up until the 8th end. So normally in our club play, we have a bell roll. So we have a 2-hour block of time for our ice, and 15 minutes before the end of that, a bell will ring, and then we have to finish the end that we are currently in. For most of our mixed doubles teams, we play fast enough that we get a full 8-end game in, and that's usually where we stop, is an 8-end game, no matter how fast we're playing. We wouldn't just keep going into 9 if we hadn't heard the bell yet. For these playoff games, there is no bell, there is no timer. They can take as long as they want, but both these teams are accustomed to playing relatively fast, and so they will continue to go with that ingrained habit. It is supposed to be an 8-end game, so at the end of 8, whoever is winning will win. If one team is mathematically out of stones ahead of that, then they will shake early. But if there is a tie at the end of 8 ends, they can play a tiebreaker end. So they could potentially play 9 ends for this game. Here we go, a really, really nice freeze to start off from Lauren.
Yeah, it's good improvement for her. She's been heavy the first couple ends.
She's figured the ice out now, yeah.
That's right. The auto exposure is coming into play here.
Yeah, and Claire's going to just try to follow her down. There's still the button available, so she could still be sitting 1 just with this shot. And if she's a hair heavy and moves things around a little bit, that'll potentially give them some options coming down with hammer here. Shane and Lauren are either going to be to guard this up and try to stick with their 1, or tap the blue on the inside with basically back 4 weight. And I think that second option is the most likely one they're going to go with.
Yeah, I suspect so.
Here it comes down that same path. Not necessarily out of the ring, not necessarily out of the rings, because it is going to make some contact with that back blue, but out far enough. No, and Mike is coming in and just running the guard.
Yeah, running it back.
Yeah, they're just peeling it right out, actually, sorry.
That's good. So open it up.
Opens it up, that makes that attempt a little easier.
They'll put it back.
He'll be able to
Try
throw a
put it
big
back.
weight shot if he needs to. But yeah, they're going to try to put that guard back. Maybe not necessarily as high as it was.
A couple of feet out from the rings, maybe, or something like that.
Most likely. The other option is they could just try to freeze in again. Tap up the red rock that's right now top button to sit back button, and then have the shooter sit top 4. That's also going to take a lot of options away from Mike and Claire.
Maybe tap the blue one back on the left side there, left 4.
It's not really hurting them at the moment, so
Right.
I wouldn't worry about it too much. They're worried about that double that we were trying to line up. And a guard takes that away, a freeze makes that much harder. So anywhere in there, or a little light tap to middle red to then make the double onto the back red and get everything moving. But more likely, if he can even just get rid of 2 reds here, he'll be pretty happy. And I can't tell from his broom gesturing what he decided on.
I think they decided on nosing this, the top red, and then angling the other one off.
Yeah, I think that was also what they were deciding on, which pretty close to nose should get 2 of the reds going. So the backing, there's definitely some air there for Shane and Lauren to pick it out, but some backing. The red is now top 4 and not shot anymore. So again, it was very difficult to tell what Shane and Lauren were planning. They've got a couple of options here. They can just try to draw right into the button. Oh, our camera cut out.
Yep, it did.
Anyway, so they can try to draw in, or they can just try to pick that blue out, and then, if there's no blues in play, it gets real difficult for red to do any, or for blue to do anything except get forced with their last rock. And that is indeed what they have done. Red is now sitting what looks to be potentially 3. That one just on the outside edge is really difficult to tell from our angle and from the overhead whether it's biting or not. I suspect it's actually biting, but it probably isn't going to matter. I suspect at the end, especially with blue having hammer, there's going to be something in the rings that's closer than that potential biter. And so now Mike and Claire have to decide, how do they try to generate 2 with this wide open end? One option is to try to hit the rock in the top 4 and roll over to a corner, which is, I suspect, what Mike is going to do. The other option is a draw. You can draw behind it to the back 4. You can draw just in front of it and try to freeze, and then do a tap-tap with the last one. Here it comes. Looks like a nice soft hit. Hitting thick half, almost to the nose. Yeah, I don't think he wanted that roll. I think he wanted to roll so that he'd be almost in front of the red in the back 12. If you're not watching this live, and this is after the fact, you can probably fast forward a little bit now, because you're probably going to see a nose hit from red here and then a nose hit from blue for 1, because it looks like they are both playing toward the force at this point. All right, sheet 2 you cannot see because our camera is still down, unfortunately, but what just happened is that red played a lovely little tap and is now sitting shot from the looks of things, with 4 blues still in play, all scattered around the back 8, back 12, and the side 12. But the red rock, as nice as that tap was to sit shot, did not get behind covers, so now blue's got an option to try to pick it out. All right, so I thought that was going to be a nose hit from Lauren. It ended up being a little off nose and rolled to just bite on the edge of the 12, but nonetheless, Mike and Claire are at best getting forced here, so they've got to try to draw in. Rather than take a path that they haven't tried before, to use one of those red stones as backing, they're just going to make sure that their weight is good and make the draw. So hopefully they've got their draw weight in their back pocket. Claire has made quite a number of lovely draws to the 8-foot. That's all she has to do, is touch the 8-foot and they get their 1. And here she comes.
Okay, sorry, John, we're just having some issues. We're still working on it. We'll get to you shortly.
No worries, we've at least got the overhead camera so we can see some of the action. Over on sheet 2, they are throwing the pick attempt, so they're throwing, looks to be control weight shot, trying to just make contact. We had a little accident here. Nilesh tripped over the cables and brought down the whole soundboard onto the ground. It sounds like I'm really loud now because I think the volume knob got adjusted as it fell. And I was looking down and didn't see if they made their final shot for 1 there. Yeah, it looks like red ended up taking the shot there. They did not make the draw because they are now setting up for their power play.
Jammed in here.
And I also got distracted and didn't see what happened. Oh yes, so only a single blue ended up counting on sheet 2, so they did not make that pick attempt. So with the power play, you see the rocks are set up on the side here, so that one pre-positioned stone on the inside of the house, splitting the 8-foot and the 12-foot, and a guard that's protecting it. The way they line that corner guard up is that a player stands in the hack at the delivery end. They stand in between the two sides of the hack, so that stone looks like it is perfectly protecting that rock from in between the two hacks, which means on that side, a lefty would probably be able to see a tiny bit of the stone, whereas on the righty hack, it would probably look like it's a little bit overburied. And there's a number of ways that you can then try to respond to the power play. So in this case, red did get a steal of 3 because that blue stone did not stop in the house, which means like that. They're just trying to keep the score down. They're not necessarily trying to steal. One way to do that is to chip that guard out from that corner position back over towards the middle, which is what they attempted, but they went just a little wide and went by everything. So again, you can move the rocks in play around. You can't take them out of play though. So they could move that pre-positioned stone over to sit somewhere in the middle, but they can't take it out of play. So if they had accidentally knocked it too hard or too solid and took it out of play, then they would have had to put it back. In that case, the shooter just went by everything, and so there was nothing to readjust. Now they're changing gears a little bit here after that first attempt to simplify the end went awry.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And instead playing a freeze onto this open blue stone. Again, Shane cannot hit at this point yet, but the next stone to be delivered can hit. So this is going to be Mike's first stone, the hammer team's second player's first stone. He can hit, and that looks like what he's going to try to do, or at least a tap back of that red stone that's corner frozen.
Okay, John,
pre-position stone.
Okay,
Sorry.
so we're down to
Yep.
one camera, unfortunately. That's the way life works, and I just stripped over a whole bunch of cables, and that's not good either. I'll go see if I can do some live zooms on this camera. How's that?
Sure.
Thank you.
So this is a very tricky path to try to come down with. So what we're going to see is Mike trying to come down and just tap that red rock. And on our ice, for the last couple of weeks, we've seen these rocks really fly over to the wings once they get past about the center line to the 4-foot line area. And indeed, here this rock goes. It's almost on the guard. Yeah, ticking the guard. Really overcurling. Really tough line to watch and to call. Not a bad outcome, though, because they did manage to catch a piece of the rings. Just in time for that nice double takeout. Again, the name of the game for Shane and Lauren with this end is most likely trying to just keep the score down. Forcing blue is a very good outcome for them, making them waste their power play to get a single. If they can steal, that's great. At the moment, they are shot, but they're trying to make sure that Mike and Claire can't get more than 1 or 2, which means basically every time Mike and Claire put a rock into play, they're going to try to hit it out and hopefully get a double to even get rid of that pre-positioned stone. Meanwhile, Mike and Claire really want to use this power play to try to score multiple rocks. And so to get that, they're trying to use the corner guard that they started with to their advantage. It's already been ticked over a little bit. So now if they try to make the same shot coming down from the inside out, try to tap this red off of the corner and roll a little bit behind the guard. And Claire is pounding that, and it is probably going to overcurl again and just be right onto the blue. Again, a very tricky line to try to call. Yeah, just came and overcurled. And unfortunately, they've ticked behind the red rock. It's not frozen. There is a good 1.5 feet of space there. If it was blue's turn again, they could potentially get rid of that red rock without affecting the blue rock. but they don't get to go again. Shane and Lauren get a turn, and they're probably going to run the red into the blue and sit 3, biting the rings. Over on sheet 2, red just tapped that open blue rock back and is now sitting 2. So he's throwing big weight, hoping it runs straight, and yep, called it perfectly. Keeps both reds, rolls right to the middle, big separation. Couldn't have drawn it up any better if I had a telestrator, which I don't.
You barely have cameras, John. John, you barely have cameras.
Hmm?
You barely have cameras.
I barely have cameras, let's just say, in the background. So now Mike and Claire have to shift gears. Bringing the play to the wings behind the corner guards is just not going to work with the couple of rocks that they have left. They have 1 each left here. So to try to get 2, they need both these rocks to count, and really the only way to do that is to try to freeze to that red rock that has come to the center, which of course sets up the risk that they're going to go up to steal, and then hope that with their last they'll be able to tap it out of play and keep both blues in play. And a very nice draw on sheet 2, with blue now sitting 1 behind the guard, but not a whole lot of backing. There's a phone on this chair. Alright, this looks like a slide with drop. And we're back once again. Sorry for the issues with the Wi-Fi. It is what it is. We're doing the best we can while showing you the games. So if you missed the shot, Shane and Lauren made that, I guess it was Lauren's rock, so I should just say Lauren. Lauren made the shot to get rid of the blue, got rid of the back red as well, and rolled the shooter over to the side 8, which leaves Mike and Claire getting forced. So they could draw in. Based on where Mike is holding the broom and the fact that he is holding the broom down there rather than coming down to sweep, I suspect they are going for the big weight nose hit here rather than trying to test Claire's draw weight. Here she comes, big slide, big throw, coming across, trying to make contact with that redstone in the top, in the 8 foot to set their 1. And this one is running straight. She looks like she slid wide of Mike's broom. She's made some contact, but it's rolling out of play, and this could be another 2 on the board for red.
Yeah.
Over on sheet 2, we just missed a couple of little tippy taps. Now the red has moved over to the other side of the back 4, and blue is sitting 1 on the back 4. Still 3 rocks to play. Tracy is in the hack there with her red rock. So having gotten the stolen points, Shane and Lauren throwing red rocks are set up with the traditional mixed doubles setup of well, blue having the hammer. So they're set up with that center guard and then the blue rock in the back. I suspect as soon as they end up giving up some points to Mike and Claire, they will be taking their power play. Once again with that opening freeze attempt, Shane giving it a light clean. Looking really good. Lauren has figured this ice out. Slight tap, sit and shot. Mike and Claire trying to freeze down to it. I suspect we're going to see a lot of freezes from them until they like the angles that they see before they throw any kind of hit. Because they are going to want to have a lot of blue rocks in play to work with later on. Whereas I suspect as soon as Shane and Lauren are allowed to hit, which is not this rock, but the next one they throw, they'll be throwing a lot of hits. Just trying to keep it clean and force Mike and Claire to think, oh no, too heavy right through the house. That's going to hurt.
Okay, I'm back, John, for a bit. Still no issues solved, but there you go. Yeah, looks like Lauren just has her weight dialed in pretty good now.
Oh yeah. Bad line call on sheet 2. There's a red that's open in the back 4. Blue is sitting shot, and then second and third third and fourth as well. So if blue had made that nose hit on the red, they'd be sitting 4 with just a single red rock left to come. Unfortunately, they flashed everything. So now with their final red rock, Tracy and Paul are probably going to try to just tap that blue shot rock back a couple of inches and sit 2. So having just thrown one heavy, I strongly suspect that they're going to come down what to us looking at it is the left side, so that they've got, and of course, he immediately proves me wrong. Immediately. I don't even finish the sentence. He's coming down the right side. So I was going to say that the right side provides some opportunities by coming in and potentially getting to the correct corners, but you got to be right on your weight. And it looks like he's overcompensated, or perhaps the two sides are a little bit different, because this looks a little light to me. Claire is scrubbing for her life, trying to drag it. Oh, it's actually really good. Really, really good. Yeah, they're never inviting me back to predict things, so fortunately there's no need to predict. You guys can just watch it along with me, and I'm just here to hopefully entertain you with the color commentary. So, blue sitting to 1, not quite frozen. But it does have that high center guard that they start with the pre-positioned stone. But there is that angle run there. So now Shane is allowed to hit. If they're trying to keep the score down, that angle hit is going to be looking really attractive. This looks to be more a job of clearing the guard, either running it or just peeling it out of play. Looks like a peel. Straight. Oh, 2 for 1. 2 for 1. And now we have to smack Nilesh for blocking the view of that amazing shot. So to try to describe in words what just happened, they ran the guard back and caught that thin corner run back of the red that was the top 4 at the angle to the shot blue, picked the shot blue out of play. So now, again, exactly what Shane and Lauren wanted, a simpler end where they can force blue to a single, try to keep the score down now that they've already got a big lead, and did both things in one shot. Got rid of the guard and got rid of the shot blue. Over on sheet 2, unfortunately, I was so focused on that shot, I missed the ending to see whether red was able to get there too, but they must have, because blue is sitting shot, and right now they're setting up for a blue power play. So red must have got their at least one more in that end. I think they might have thrown heavy and just moved the blue out of play, and then their original rock was sitting, but I suspect they probably got both of them. So now blue is setting up for their power play on sheet 2 for the consolation game.
Hey John, good news. We have 2 cameras back.
Excellent.
See how long?
So Mike is very likely trying to play the nose freeze here to make sure that they can try to get some multiples out of this end. Just a hair heavy. Looks like they're just going to tick that red on the inside edge, move things around, but they still The red on one corner, the blue directly behind them as a catcher. So hopefully, at least Mike is probably hoping that they can keep both blues in play here. But for Shane and Lauren, who love to hit, this looks like a really easy double hit. Hit the top blue just a little bit on our left of the nose, and both of them should go out of play. And here comes that big weight power. Just like we drew it up.
Yep.
So you tend to see not a lot of hitting in mixed double. The modified free guard zone prevents you from just hitting things in the house right away. You start with guards in play. It makes it difficult to get to this point. In order to start getting to a simplified end like this where you have a lot of hits in play, typically one team either has to miss, which happened in this end where we had Blue Rock go right through the house on a draw attempt, or you have to make some runbacks and doubles, which we also saw this end, Shane and Lauren making. So
They're up by 5, right? I think so.
yes, no, more than that. I believe they got 2 in the last end. They haven't hung it up yet, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there was also a biter on the right side as we were looking at it. So
It's ethical not to hang up points if it's, in our club.
yeah.
If you're,
Makes it difficult for the commentators. But yes, I believe at this point Shane and Lauren are up by 6, 7-1. So at this point, rather than play to that center one, Mike's going to try to draw around the corner. It's almost as though we're a power play, with just a couple of rocks left to go. And then Shane and Lauren will have a couple of options. They can chase this and just try to come around and tap it out. There's enough space there between that guard and the blue rock to do that with even a fair bit of weight to make sure that it goes away. They could freeze to it, which also looks like what they might be setting up, or they could do a run back of the guard. Freezing to it is an excellent choice if they can make it, because that's going to leave them sitting 2 and make the force really.
yeah. Or you freeze and tap back is fine too.
Yeah. You just don't want to leave them a double. So, if they try to come in and they end up going past that blue and sort of sit on the T line there, or if it undercurls into sitting kind of just top 4 biting T kind of area, that would make a double look really attractive to Mike and Claire. It's looking really good as it's coming down. Shane's sweeping for line because it does really swing to the wings as it starts going, especially as we see it cross that hog line.
Good.
Coming over. It looks like it might just be a hair hot. It might just bounce off, but that's not going to matter. The force is looking pretty good here. Yeah, it just bounced off a little, sitting just behind it. The double is physically there. They might try it. They're desperate enough that even though that's a pretty tough double, they might just have to try it.
Yep. Control weight.
Oh, I think they need more than control. They've got to throw the most that Claire can give them. So a good normal, maybe even peel, because you got to come sideways at that second one and knock it out far enough that the one that's just biting the 8-foot count. So you got to knock it all the way out of the 8-foot.
3 feet.
Yeah, so coming across like that, I think they need at least normal weight, which for those that aren't familiar with the terminology that's relatively common at our club, we're talking a hog-to-hog time of something like 9 seconds or better. Now, personally, I don't think Mike gave her quite enough ice, but she didn't hit the broom. She was definitely to my left of Mike's broom. And right through. That's another steal of 2, and it is handshakes.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Well, unfortunately, not quite as close a game as we were hoping between these two titans of the Mixed Doubles League. We're getting a request to do a shout out to Jackie. I'm assuming that's Jackie Hedges.
Do that, sure.
And speaking of those connection difficulties, there was another one. So I was just asking Nilesh if we were going to do some post-game commentary, since this is over a little bit sooner than we had intended, or if we'll switch over to watch the rest of the consolation match that's happening on sheet 2, which also is a bit of a runaway for the red team. And Nilesh decided that we're going to switch over. So that was a bit of a closer game than the score suggested, but Shane and Lauren definitely were in control for pretty much everything past the third end, which is where they really started to run away with the points. Repositioning the cameras for the game. All right, so now blue sitting the 3 non-shot rocks with red sitting a lonely, very unprotected single. So now this is going to be another key point where we'll have to see if this team is able to make that hit to call the correct line, because it is very possible to pick that red out, drive it just to the right as we're looking at it of those back 2 blues, have the shot rocks sit just in front of those to be sitting a really nice looking 4 actually. But they've got to make that hit pretty precisely. They've got to hit just to the left as we're looking at it of the nose of that red rock. They've got a wide range of weights that they could do this with. They could do it from anything from just a soft hack right up to control weight. This looks like a pretty spicy board that they're throwing. And so far it looks like it's a little wide. It's really got to curl. Really got to curl. Here it comes. Here it comes. Marta's on it. And picked it out perfectly clean. Kept the shooter sitting the 4. Now, unfortunately, as much as sitting the 4 is really nice, it does leave an opportunity for the red team, because those back 2 blues are sitting so nicely together. It forms a great little pocket. If they can just freeze into that pocket, it's pretty much impossible to get the red rock out. Of course, you have to actually make the draw. Easy to say it from back here. I don't have to throw it.
It's always easier than the last shot.
Always easiest to play from behind the glass. And so it looks like Tracy and Paul are having a little bit of a discussion about how greedy to be, because if you put this red rock top button or top 4, you might steal another point for red. If you put it in the back 4, the force is on, so you would give up a point to blue, but you would make it really tough for all those others to count. So personally, I would go, especially with a 5-point lead here, I would go for that force. Put it into the back 4 pocket, make it almost impossible to get the red rock out. Whereas if it's top 4 or on the button, they might be sit and shot and make that draw for one really tough and force them to throw another hit. Again, they've been struggling with their hits, so maybe that's a strategy to go with in this case. But either way, it's kind of the same line, the same setup, and then just how much you sweep it, whether it stops on the button or drag it right to the back pocket.
So John, I'm just try to set up another microphone in case they come.
Okay.
We can chat with them.
Sorry about that, folks, both for the interruption to the live stream once again, and also for miscounting rocks. That's again, and also for miscounting rocks. I thought we were getting closer to the end of the end as we were talking about that free slip pocket. But in fact, there are 2 red rocks still to come, and
That's what's they're doing this.
yep. So they open that pocket back up, remove the pocket, and roll it out to just bite the edge of the 12. So now blue is going to try to draw up to the top 4 to block off the path. The pocket's not really there, but they can still freeze to the back 4. So that will make it really difficult to draw to that back one, while also sitting right open.
Playing right off of this.
Unfortunately, they've set up a guard. They came short the house, almost in front of that back 4. Tracy and Paul are taking a look at it.
Start internet in here.
If you're still with us, you're a saint for your patience.
Exactly.
That is, I don't know, the 20th interruption in our stream that we've had. So apologies for the Wi-Fi.
So blue's line 4.
Blue is lying 4. Paul came in too heavy with his rock. And that was the last rock for red. So now one more rock to come for blue, a potential to get a 5.
So now we put them up.
That'll tie the game up.
Tie the game, that's right.
Now, unfortunately, that guard that was just thrown is a little too short of the house for the split to try to make it 6, but nonetheless, getting 5 and tying it back up when you're down 6-1 is really going to put some wind in their sails and make the last 3 ends of this game quite a match.
Okay, so I think the guys are here. I'm going to go see if I can talk to them.
All right.
Okay, Shane, Lauren, how was your game?
It's a great game. Played pretty well there. It was really fast, so after the first couple rounds, we figured out the speed and we dialed in.
Yeah, Lauren had her dialed in, the draws went right in there.
Yeah, it always makes it easier when the first shot's frozen right on.
No kidding. What was the turning point?
Yeah. Guess when Claire was a little heavy on the steal of 3 in the 4th end.
Right, of course. Michael, what do you think? How was the game?
It was a lot of fun. It was actually a really good battle. I think it was closer than what the scoreboard was. There were good shots on both sides, but got a little away from us in the 4th end, and you can't let that happen against this duo.
Of course. Now you guys have played against each other a lot, I bet, right?
And we've played together too.
So there you go. How's your season against each other?
This is our first meeting.
Really? You guys only played down? Don't you guys play round robin or something?
Well, not when they took a little break from the league last year, so they started off a little lower.
All right, you started D. That's right. You guys are D level.
Thanks to the lovely rules of the section, but we have played against them a lot in the past.
Who's the convener section, Michael?
It's a great question. I'll have to find out for you.
Claire, how was it for you?
It's a fun game. I'm always okay with losing to good curlers who are nice people, so no problem losing to this team.
Yeah, too bad, eh? Was the ice weird today?
Pardon?
Was the ice weird?
No, that was just me.
Trying to give you the benefit of the doubt here. Lauren, how was it?
It was good. Ice was great.
And what was your best shot? Do you think?
I made a double in one of the early ends. Are you for that? Oh. Yep. That's one of the good ones.
And over here in the 5th over, 6th end come back, you were like just opening it up, right? Just leave it open?
Yeah. Yeah.
He has good memory, right?
Yeah, he does. Shane remembers it.
You play chess, Shane?
Very occasionally.
Yeah, see?
Be recorded for later? Okay. It's indicating that we're back live again. Sorry for all the interruptions. This must be so frustrating to listen to. I'm sure I've already been muted.
For us too.
Yeah, I'm sure I've already been muted and people are just watching the game on as the rocks come down and just seeing what happens and not listening. But on the off chance that someone is listening, to just explain the backstory to why these teams have not met before, even though they're both at the top of our division of mixed doubles here, is that we have 26 teams in the league, but we only have 4 sheets of play here at the Unionville Curling Club. And so we divide the league up into sets of 8 teams. So we have an A division, and then a B division of 8 teams, and then a C division of 8 teams, and we briefly had a D division of the remaining teams, and then partway through the year decided to condense the D and C divisions into a kind of bigger division with 2 time slots, and I believe it was 12 teams. Might have been 10 teams in the end. Regardless, 10 teams in the end. Regardless, we have those divisions, and all teams play each other within the division over the course of a number of weeks. So 8 teams, you're one of the teams, you play the other 7 teams, that takes 7 weeks. At the end of the 7 weeks, the top 2 teams move up to the division above unless they're in A, and that's as high as they can go. The bottom 2 teams move down unless they're in C or D, which is the lowest that they can go. and then play for another 7 weeks, and then top teams move up, bottom teams move down, etc. And in the case of Shane and Lauren, they decided to take last year off of mixed doubles here at the club to focus on their more competitive out-of-club play. That meant that they lost their spot being seeded back. They're going to face, and so they, Shane and Lauren made it all the way through the finals, becoming, I can't remember if they're totally undefeated or nearly undefeated. Regardless, they got a lot of wins through the year, and now they have won the semifinals. So,
No losses? Were you undefeated this year? Sorry? Yeah, but other than that.
so they're just confirming behind us there that they were indeed undefeated for every game they played, but they did have a loss on their record as they had to forfeit a game because of a scheduling conflict, and they couldn't reschedule or get spares.
And they do play a lot of spiels.
They play a lot of spiels, a lot of big events, including, as we mentioned earlier, those mixed doubles nationals. So they play a lot, and they are very, very good, and undefeated for the teams that they face, including now in the semifinals against Mike and Claire. And so now Tina and I got the honor of facing them on championship day here at the club. You can probably just barely see it if you're unfamiliar with the club. Up at the hog line, we have a couple of little plaques in the ice, and those are the names of the winners from championship day last year. So for the next year, whoever wins that game is going to have their names emblazoned in the ice for the whole year to come. And that is the honor of winning championship day here at the club if they're able to do it.
I remember going to see them in Guelph. They were the finals. They played against Rachel Holman and Brendan Botcher in the finals of the Spiel there. So it's very exciting.
Yeah.
They're in that league.
So there is no gambling option as far as I know for that game, but if there was, I know who I would pick. We're going to try to give them a good game as much as we can and try to keep it as close as we can. But as we just saw with Mike and Claire, who are also a very strong team out of this club, sometimes it is hard to face down the juggernaut of Lauren and Shane.
You never know,
in mixed
John.
doubles.
I have faith.
You never know. Never know. Could get lucky. Could figure the ice out quick. Could make some excellent shots. That's what we're going to try to do, and hope we can last all 8 ends.
Steal 4 in the first. Or no, you'll have hammer, right?
If we can. I'm actually not sure who would have hammer.